Hello everybody and welcome to another series of LiveTiles webinars, this one focusing on small to medium businesses. And today we're having a bit of a look at a question that has been thrown at us quite a few times here at LiveTiles with the emergence of Microsoft Teams during the pandemic. It is everywhere, it is being used by everybody. And we've been asked so many times, can Microsoft Teams really be our intranet? So being that we're an intranet company, we're going to have a bit of a chat about that today. You might be surprised by the answers that we give you to this question, but we'll get into it. And you can see my esteemed colleagues here on screen today. With me, I've got Freddie Armbrust, who's our strategic account manager, and a very sharp-looking Jason Alessi there, our product specialist here at LiveTiles. Freddie will be taking the reins on setting the scene for you all today with this one, and then Jace is going to take you through a bit of a demo. So, for those of you that don't know anything about us, we are LiveTiles, and we are a global company specialising in employee collaboration and communication software, services, and AI for the workplace. We're in a whole bunch of locations around the globe. Today, a couple of us are working from home. One of us, luckily enough, are in the office. And we'll get into this. So I'll hand it over to Freddie now to set the scene for you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, and good morning, everybody. I think I would like to just take a step back initially into what is happening in the world and how what the whole thought process around intranets and how are intranets still alive. So I go a bit more in depth in what's happening in the world. And I think internally has one of the I think quotes that we came out, I think it was our CTO had that said, like, it's not about trying to get people to adopt the digital workplace, but it's about the digital workplace adopting to people. And that's, I think, not only for the digital workplace, but that's for all kinds of technology. Technology should not be a goal. Technology should be a mean. And if you look into that, like larger, what LiveTiles is focusing on, the head of digital workplace is, you can bring all kinds of technology to end users, but if they can't find their information, if they can't find their people easier, then what is the use case of having this great, good-looking workplace when people are not able to interact with it or become more productive with that kind of technology? So I think it's a very crucial thought that, like, why are we building this digital workplace? What are we trying to achieve? What's the business challenge we're trying to attack, and then really have proper KPIs and ongoing KPIs in what is how can we change our digital workplace over time. It's not like okay, let's get that tsunami of technology and we'll see in 3 years what is going on. So really, I think that is one that we seen into investigating with the digital workplace. So we actually did a survey, a LinkedIn survey. So Chris, if you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So a simple question, is the internet dead? Digital workplace, internet is a common theme used in the industry, but kind of an interesting response was that 51% is yes, poor thing is struggling, and the 49% said no, alive and well. And kind of an interesting split there. I guess if we would have asked a bit more multiple questions, we might have got a bit of different answers there. But the poor thing is struggling. I think that's what we see a lot happening around other companies. And what is that? Why is it struggling? Why are people not going there? And could it be that it is because it's not providing me with the right information? It's not personalized, and I'm already struggling with an information overload. So that's when we thought, like, hey, again, let's step back. What are people doing? And what, especially now with COVID-19, what's happening around the world? And so really, what are people searching for? What are companies trying to achieve with their digital workplace, etc.? So I had looking actually in different roles, how are people using technology? How are they interacting with content? And I think this is an interesting slide that you see with a few people on here that are not even allowed to go into offices anymore. How are they going to interact with the company? How are they going to interact with content? How are you going to interact with people that are in the frontline workers? We actually have a webinar coming up on how to get that information out to those frontline workers. And what we've seen is that, especially with COVID-19, there's a huge adoption on communication applications, chat applications, and the Microsoft Teams, for example, how you see that there's roughly almost 500 million monthly activities of users of Microsoft Teams, and then that's, I think, a very interesting dynamic. But how are you going to make sure that that communication platform, like Microsoft Teams, how can you make that also a collaboration platform? Because people get overwhelmed with all kinds of applications, business applications. So what are we trying to do at LiveTiles is to see how can we leverage that great technology, Microsoft Teams, and that a lot of organizations have invested in. How can we use that and then expand on that, provide that single pane of view, so to speak, that single panel, and really how can they take it to the next step by small agile projects. You can go to the next slide, please, Chris. Thank you. So what we actually do within LiveTiles is, you have here on the left, we see that a lot of applications for different kind of use cases. People are trying to work together, communities, project teams, and they are very good in using technology there in their own teams. But what happens if you are in a role here on the right, for example, global communications, global HR, regional management? How are you now going to interact with that overarching group of people in the different roles that you see on the top left? Those people still all need HR documents. They still need to know about communication, maybe on IT outages, for example, or they need to know on a regional management level on how are sales going. How can you get that kind of information? There's an interesting dynamic there. That on the one hand, you want to give people the flexibility to interact and quickly work together, but on the other hand, you also have that group of people that need to inform the organization, the wider organization, but also get information back from the organization. And we have another interesting solution for that, to have really, especially for global HR people, how to get that information quickly. We call that LiveTiles Vibe, but that's in a later webinar. We're going to discuss that. So it's a very interesting dynamic that we see here. It's not an and or kind of or an or kind of a conversation. Are we using Teams for this, or are we using SharePoint for this, or are we using another application for this? What we're really trying to do is how can we bridge the applications into one again, so that a global HR person quickly can update something in Teams, a message, and it's spread out through the organization. Govern information. How can you make sure that IT and security and legal are all giving their sign off on the applications, but still give the flexibility to end users to leverage Teams to set up external work collaboration with vendors, or what you see a lot when product teams need to work with marketing agencies or advertising agencies. So that's an interesting dynamic there as well. I'm just wondering, let's go, should we go to the demo already, Chris, or should we have a bit of a chat on?
I feel like it might be a great time to throw to our product specialist, do you think, to Jace? We need to see Jace's face on the camera, because he's a very, very good looking man. So maybe I can, oh, sorry, I'm not having any go at you, mate. You're very good looking too. But I will make Jace the presenter here. Actually, that should ping it over to you, Jace, and we can get in with the demo. Working for you, mate? Beautiful.
All right, that's showing up?
Yes, we can see it, Jay.
Excellent, let's go for it. All right, so what we are going to show today, in particular around Teams, is some of the work we've been doing around integration from some of our existing software in terms of how we're converting those into Teams apps. And so you'll see here on my page, we've got LiveTiles Reach showing now. LiveTiles Reach in Teams is a small element of our larger application of LiveTiles Reach, which exists as a web app. But in Teams here, you'll see we've got it pinned to the left-hand side in the bar. And from a usability point of view, that allows users to rapidly access any of the reach information that we're bringing through into Teams in the form of news across both desktop and mobile. So it is accessible across both different types of devices. And you'll see here instantly, for those who are familiar with the Reach application itself, we have the same user experience and the same UI in that you are met with this seamless feed type view with a roll up of all of your news based on the channels that you're subscribed to or that you have activated for your feed. In the sense of Teams, Teams doesn't do corporate comms very well. So it was a huge gap that we found that we could fill with our corporate comms platform, bringing that functionality into Teams to allow organizations to make use of really that corporate comms functionality. Being able to stay in Teams, something that I personally find I'm spending more and more time in Teams each day, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. So having that core functionality from other systems, those third-party systems brought into Teams, really stops that chopping and changing between platforms or having multiple tabs open. You know, we live in a day now where we have so many different systems that we need to use just to complete our daily tasks. So if we can actually bring those and have them you know, formed into a single experience and bring those that rapid changing down, you know, people become more efficient. If I can spend, you know, time flicking between tabs in Teams rather than flicking between different platforms, you know, having to remember different accounts for authentication, all of that stuff, we've taken care of that here through the Reach integration. So, you know, once you're signed into Microsoft Teams, you are effectively signed in to your Reach deployment as well. Along the top, you'll have some of the control bars as well. So you can flick through your channels if you want to. So you can filter down. Here, I'm just filtering down to the marketing channel. But for an end user, it's very simple, very clean UI, and very easy to interact with. Clicking on that news article will bring it up in this view. Again, you'll see the same exact display in the Reach application as well in the web app. And then basically you'll see everything here that you can consume that news article from. So, you know, you'll see all our news can be published with really high res, rich imagery. You've got all the information that you need in terms of metadata. So you have the news article name, who published it, if there is some kind of description for the article, any keywords or extra channels that it's been published to. So news can be published across multiple channels. The news article itself, and then some more information down the bottom. So we have the ability to interact with all of our articles if you decide to turn the social element on. So you'll have things like the liking ability, bookmarking, commenting. So, you know, you can incite that collaboration with your users as well around those news articles or those announcements. They can use it to ask questions against that article. So the author will be prompted, you know, if turned on, that a comment has been placed against the article. So it can be used in almost an FAQ type fashion as well. And of course, we can share news articles across platforms as well. Just trying to jump back. So when we are, I guess, talking specifically in Australia, obviously English being our primary language, but we do have support for multi-language. So I'll quickly show it here. Here's an example of an article being published in Danish. So obviously I don't read Danish, but because my primary language is set in the platform as English, I have the ability to use automatic translation and switch it over to English for myself. So really cool feature, especially in this day and age when you know, we're becoming more global. Businesses are becoming more global. We are starting to interact more with Europeans, more of Asia as well. So having that quick automatic language translation built into the platform can be very beneficial. As an end user as well, I have the ability to stay up to date with articles through notifications as well. So a really great feature of Reach is being able to control where you receive your notifications from, whether it's from email, whether it's through the app notifications as well, and we can actually control it through Teams too. So you will notice under the activity bar, I probably have no activity at the moment, so we'll jump into chat and see if that has a roll up. Each time something happens or an event is triggered in Reach, we can actually have those notifications go through Teams as well. So we're just funneling those notifications back through Teams. So you're not having to have extra emails come through or other notifications then on your mobile, but then you have to jump back into Teams. So having that into Teams as well allows me to quickly click on that notification or that activity feed and bring that article directly up in Teams. So a really neat feature to have. Jumping back into the news, that's kind of the end user view. So as a non-publisher or a non-news owner, it's very simple for me to use, to understand, to consume that information and go on about my day-to-day tasks. We also cover the aspect of the news publisher as well. So you'll notice if you have elevated rights in Reach, you'll have this pen or pencil icon in the top right corner, and that allows you to access the publishing view. Now you'll see here above the red line, we have pending articles. Now they might be pending approval, or they may be unfinished articles in draft view that another author has not completed. And anything under that red line is published and is ready for your employee or user consumption. So to create news from scratch, we hit the create news button, and we're brought into a draft type canvas view that we viewed the news before. So the exact same view, really easy to go through top to bottom and understand what information you need to fill out. So big and bold to start with, we can add imagery. So we can import images from our computer. We can use the free integration with Unsplash. Unsplash is a website that allows for free use of high-res imagery, or we can actually use now our new integration with Canva. So as some of you may know, Canva does have a free account. So the integration is completely free as a part of the Reach offering. You can use any of the templates and designs offered through Reach, through Canva. With the free account, you can make changes. Obviously, there are premium offerings in Canva which will require you to have a license, but this offering allows you to really use, imagery and designs that fit your organization and allow you to push out news that's more on brand, with your style of communications. So you'll see here, I've just picked a quick template and added it to my news. Obviously, you can change the text, imagery, whatever you want to do. Make use of that Canva functionality. You can save templates as well in Canva, which you can then repurpose for all of your news content, but a really great way to personalize your news and make it more fitting for the style of your organization. Then we can jump down. We had a title. You can have some abstract if you want. We get into the publishing settings. So we have publishing routines. You don't have to publish the news straight away. You can actually set it to a date. So if I'm writing an article late Friday afternoon, I probably don't want to publish it then because everyone's going to be away for the weekend. And then come Monday, that news could get lost down the feed. So I can actually schedule it to publish Monday morning at 9:30, whatever it may be. I can select my channels. I can actually publish on behalf of someone else as well and set an expiry date if I want that news or announcement to drop off at a certain time. I add my body in here. The body can entail images, videos, documents. We can insert anything in here. It's not just text, so we can make use of those attachments as well. We can add keywords, so you build your keywords in the back end. Administrators would typically build that out, and that just helps with searchability. Once you've added your keywords, you can then turn your news into a poll as well. So if I want to start my news article as a poll, I can type in the questions and then the answers and incite more of that user interaction as well. So if I'm trying to capture, that feedback from my user base, this is a really good tool here to use. We can ask for confirmation. So if we actually turn our news article into a confirmation, you'll see here that it adds this green banner to it. What that will do is that will take that news article and make it sit at the top of the feed of everyone's feed who is a part of the channel that you have written to. And that's purely from a compliance point of view. So if you're posting something that requires everyone to have read it, you being able to see that read confirmation lets you know that, okay, we've published this, everyone in the business has confirmed read it. We can move on from a compliance point of view. And here, obviously, the social element we can turn on and off. So if we don't want commenting turned on or likes, we can turn that off. Some quick housekeeping on the side around history. So we have built-in version control and history, delete the article if we need, and the ability to turn it into an alert. So turning it into an alert will do the same as what we saw with the confirm read, except it adds a red banner, and again adds it to the top of everyone's new feed, letting them know this is an alert, typically reserved for IT outages, stuff like that. And we can set alert duration as well, and then the expiry to have that article drop off. So that's quick insight into what we have brought from our Reach product into Teams. Reach is a free offering for a trial, so we can absolutely do trials of Reach. Freddie, I don't know if you wanted to chime in there and speak about what we've been doing with trials lately with Reach and how we can help customers on board and see kind of the nuts and bolts of Reach and how it works.
Yeah, actually, guys, we did have a question here from Mafanli Hansafolopon about how could she organise a trial of Reach with you.
Yeah, I think get in contact with us, and we can definitely help you set up the trial environment. We have a few customers, especially during the COVID-19, a few months ago, where a lot of the demand was had to set up quickly how to reach people from home, etc. And we see that an ongoing demand for that. So we're very happy to help organizations get on board, trial it for a few weeks, few months, and then really see the power of it, how easy it is, as Jason has showed it now in Microsoft Teams, but it's also a very downloadable app on your mobile phone, and Android, the Android or iOS has an easy, it's to get that on your phone so you can reach those people that are wherever they are in the world right now, and nobody knows with COVID-19. But really, I think that's how we are using it as well internally, how we can get updated with our global organization. And we have a lot of colleagues in Europe, US, and then update them on things they're doing, and then to be informed. It's not only about here in APAC or in Australia, but and when you're a global organization or you have global vendors, it's also a great way to interact with externals that are not part of your organization, to give them access to it. So yeah, we have a reference case coming up that Chris and I are working on, and hopefully in a few weeks we can announce that. But I think that's a great use case on how they are leveraging with their externals and their internal organization. So more on that, but also how they integrate into Teams, because especially for us that are working within Teams, or HR departments that are working in Teams, how to update, as Jason just showed you, easily to create content and then have that going out to the organization if you're in Teams or if you're on your mobile app, be informed. So I think that's where we have a lot of experience, and how we can help you guide that through your journey, so to speak. It's a very as I would say, small steps, agile project. It's not that tsunami of technology that comes towards employees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Long answer, Chris.
That's okay, mate. Thanks. We've just got a question here from a Brian Hornswoggle, which I'm tipping is not his real name. Just in general, the whole story around Microsoft Teams being your intranet, and how it's interesting that a tech company such as us who plays in the intranet space is not selling the Microsoft Teams as a solution, but really embracing it. And it just sort of got me thinking about the whole idea around how LiveTiles augments the Microsoft stack, and maybe you could just explain that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Jason, you want to do that, or you want me?
Yeah, sure. So I guess when we're looking at the whole can Teams be your intranet, the word intranet these days, I think we feel at LiveTiles is not your traditional intranet anymore. It's not just your standard SharePoint offering. You'll go in there, look for some documents, use some lists for some forms. It has evolved quite drastically, and it now includes so many other systems, ranging from corporate comms to HR systems to CRMs. The Microsoft 365 suite is so big now. It is more than just your standard SharePoint. So what we are trying to do with Teams is take those core business applications, and we've started here obviously with Reach in taking corporate comms and trying to bring the core elements into Teams. Now, LiveTiles Reach is a much bigger product than what we just see here in terms of news, and we'll probably cover that in a later webinar around the actual Reach application itself and what else can it do. But small steps for us, and we're bringing in news and corporate comms to start with. So if you're talking about can Teams be your intranet from a corporate comms point of view, absolutely it can be, and we're proving it out right here. So when you start to look at other things like, okay, I've got corporate comms in Teams, I'm starting to get document repository in Teams, I'm getting search now, I've got announcements, news notifications, we're cutting down all of that extra noise. I don't have to have 10 apps open anymore, with 100 tabs open and quickly switch context. I'm starting to get all the core stuff that I need in Teams. Of course, there's always going to be need to have to jump out and go back to SharePoint, or have to jump out to go to the HR system, especially from an admin point of view, if we're doing kind of that really high level technical configuration stuff. But as a general end user, if I can start to spend more time in Teams because more of this core functionality and ability is coming here, then absolutely, I think we definitely are starting to answer the question. Teams actually can become your intranet to a certain degree.
Yeah, and to add to, maybe I can add a bit more. I think with regard to your question, Chris, is how are we leveraging the Microsoft technology? And Jason highlighted, for example, Office 365 having such a vast array of applications, but also technologies. If you think about Power Automate, have the old school Flow, Forms, all those things, and you can even do that in Reach with Forms, and then you go to the next step on how can you have like a frontline worker putting in a service request when they're at like, let's say, a plumber. You have multiple people in your organization, and they quickly have to put in a request for ordering a certain part of a sink, let's put it that way. So that's where we really enhance the investment that organizations have done into the Office 365. It's not something that completely sits next to your Microsoft investment or your Microsoft platform. Is really Microsoft, as I always say, provides those Lego blocks, and we help you build the house with that. And we have templated it, facade, so to speak, of a house, and to quickly get you going. So that's adding on to Jason's comment as well there.
Well, I like that analogy there, mate. Got my old mate Terry Balea just asking, how does this translate into a mobile experience?
Well, I think if we have a webinar coming up, I think next week, if I'm correct, Chris, specifically on LiveTiles Reach, and I think that's when we can show the mobile experience and how it's actually similar to what you see here in the desktop experience. But I think he needs to wait a bit longer.
Hold your horses, Terry. Hold your horses. We'll be with you.
Hope you're excited. Keep you for another week, that excitement, and then we'll show you really how Reach. But again, it shows you the power of the Microsoft stack, LiveTiles, and how we're trying to connect people all around wherever they are, to make sure that people see that information.
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff.
Well, I think that is a good segue into the next application we are going to demonstrate in Microsoft Teams, and that is LiveTiles Everywhere. LiveTiles Everywhere is originally part of our LiveTiles Intranet Enterprise offering from our Intranet product. And a while back, we actually decided to extract that component. For those of you who are aware of Intranet Enterprise, we have essentially taken that kind of side panel that we have, that omnipresent side panel, and we've made it now available in Microsoft Teams in a horizontal view. And essentially, it is almost like a tabular tool that allows you to embed content in this panel, and use the tab view to flick along to basically make available different types of content in web part form. So we have a few different examples here that we can run through, but again, this definitely lends itself to, can Teams be your intranet? We have physically taken an element from our intranet product and made it available in Teams. And what you'll see here is what actually is available from the intranet product too. So if I actually switch from SharePoint into Teams, that everywhere bar is going to display the same content for me. So typically in our designs, when we're solution designing, we work with organizations to understand and uncover what is the most important information and readily used information that needs to be in this bar. And what do users need quick access to? Something that might typically be buried under sites and pages that, you know, is a nightmare to go and find. Could this type of stuff now exist in the Everywhere panel? And once we actually have designed that and configured the Everywhere panel, we now have put it into Teams. And again, that's cut down the need for me to jump between Teams and SharePoint constantly to consume this information. So you'll see here on the first panel, it's actually just a dashboard for me with my information. It's got my emails, my tasks, my calendar, my recent documents. Something typically that I would have to go back to SharePoint to see. Now I have it directly in Teams. It's one click away. I click the Everywhere icon in the Teams suite bar, and I've got my dashboard. I have my emails, something that Teams doesn't do right now. It brings 3 emails. I've got my tasks coming from, you know, office.com, and my recent documents. Again, typically you would see that in SharePoint. I've got it in Teams now. Hugely, you know, beneficial for me because, you know, as you guys know, Teams doesn't really do document management well. It's still just a bit of a mess right now. You go to a team, you have to go to the Files tab. You're sorting through, you know, folders on folders. If I can have quick access to documents that I've been working on in Teams, that's a huge win. Service menu, again, having quick access to navigation items, whether it's in Teams itself, whether it's back to SharePoint, whether it's another application from M365, whether it's a complete third-party system, just having that kind of view there itself, being able to visualize, okay, you know, here is all the applications, here's all the environments that I need access to. We have it, you know, visually shown in a navigation type quick link view. And I can actually just filter those down as well. So if you start to build quite a lot of links in there, having this filter view is quite handy. Integration to some of our other offerings. This one being LiveTiles directory. And I won't steal the show with LiveTiles directory, but obviously having profile information made available through the Everywhere application in Teams. Again, me being able to quickly make changes to my profile if needed, and also using that information then in Teams to be able to search other users as well. So here's my profile information. I can actually just change it on the fly, and same goes for every other user. And then that information then is then fed back into the business as well, because if everyone has, you know, a very I guess in-depth and fully filled out profile, search becomes a lot better in the organization. You start to learn, you know, who everyone is, what their skills are, and more importantly, in a large organization, you know, when you've got probably thousands of employees, it becomes really important to be able to know who those SMEs are, you know, who those knowledge workers are. If I'm a project manager and I've been tasked with putting a project team together, this is probably the first place I'm going to go. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start looking for users to see who are the right people for my team. I can make searches on skill sets. I can make searches on experience. I could make searches on, you know, past projects worked on. All of this information is completely configurable from the LiveTiles directory app. You know, new attributes can be created against user profiles to capture more information to make that more rich. Which then actually makes the search much better and makes people much more searchable. So if you're interested in learning more about directory, won't steal the show here, but having that directly fed back into Teams is very valuable. So definitely reach out to us if you want to know more about directory. And then, here is the policies and procedures offering. So again, part of the LiveTiles Intranet Enterprise, a core module in being able to one, search all of the policies across the business from an index, see who manages those policies if I need to reach out to any of those people, but two, also make use of the very neat feature that allows policy creators and owners to assign those to people for compliance point of view. So you'll see here that I've got 5 policies that I must read. Now this is a complete SharePoint module for us, but having the ability to bring that into Teams is a huge win. And again, I can see here exactly, okay, maybe 5 new policies have been published. I've been assigned those either directly or indirectly through a group. I need to read those and I need to mark that I've read those, which ultimately states that I understand what I've read, and that will show up in the compliance report on the back end of the enterprise module. So again, this can be contextually whatever you need it to be from an intranet point of view. You'll see here that we've got a full page brought in, and this is a marketing hub. So, being able to bring in full pages, you're not having to redevelop over and over again. It's not like I have to develop something from SharePoint and then I need to rethink it and how I should do it with Teams. Just add it to that everywhere panel and bring the whole thing through. So you'll see here we've got a really nice page design. Now, you're probably thinking you can't do that with SharePoint. You definitely can't design like this with SharePoint, and that's because it is a page that has been developed with our LiveTiles page designer. Again, another offering that's included in the enterprise offering, SharePoint offering. So if you wanted to learn more about that, reach out as well. So you'll see here quick access to a whole marketing hub. It's not just a boring list of documents or a document library. You'll see here the whole design is brought through. Great user experience, great UI, on brand for us, and really easy to access as well. Having that in Teams is great. And the last one I'll touch on again is bringing in sales data in a Power BI report form. So I'm hoping this works. But that just touches on what Freddie said before about utilizing all of that, Microsoft 365 stack. So, we're using Power Automate for flows if we need. We're using Power BI to visualize data into Teams as well. We're utilizing more of the LiveTiles product offering, from the page designer to enterprise to LiveTiles directory. We've got corporate comms included, so that lends itself to the story of, okay, how do we actually start to bring in all this core functionality? We're not bringing everything to say, okay, Teams is our intranet now. It absolutely isn't. There's always going to be a need, like I said before, to jump out to other systems. But if we can reduce that by bringing in all this core information and core data that allows you to spend more time in Teams, then absolutely we are definitely, to a level or to a degree, allowing Teams to be your intranet at a level that is suitable for your needs and requirements. Freddie, Chris, did I miss anything?
No, as usual, Jason Leslie, ladies and gentlemen, delivering a killer demo. Fantastic work there, mate. We probably only really have to just wrap this thing up now, I'd say. Freddie, have you got that? We've answered a few of the questions during the session that have come through.
Yeah, I think it was very helpful with Jason that showing the everywhere bar in Teams. That's just it doesn't have to be only in Teams. That could be in your SharePoint, your Intranet, and then like potentially future that bar could be in your browser, in a business application browser. But that's something that I just had as a thought process. What if we had developed that and the bar follows you around wherever you are and have your content? So that would be a huge kind of interesting development, so to speak. But
yeah,
no more questions.
Absolutely. No. I sort of thought we should answer them as they came through. So we've used all those up. What's the next steps, mate? How do people get in contact with you? How do they get their hands on that rich demo and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, please go to our website. The URLs here on the page. Has a bit of team support services that we've been giving to a lot of organizations on what do you do with Teams? How can you make it that communication and collaboration platform? So please reach out through that URL, send us or to go to our website and just give your details, and I will follow up with you to do a demo and get a bit more insights on what your challenges and needs are, and then really align how we can solve that with, like Jason showed, our vast array of solutions that we have, ranging from the directory solutions to LiveTiles Everywhere to our Intranet Enterprise Reach. We have the technology, the platform in place to really go wherever you want to go with your collaboration and communication. So thank you, Jason.
Great
thank
stuff.
you, Chris.
Thank you, guys. Everybody who is watching this on YouTube, you can be able to follow on to the next one, or if you're joining us here live today, we'll talk to you same time next week where we cover off on LiveTiles Reach. And as you can see there behind Freddie, a little bit of a pumpkin for Halloween this week, so happy Halloween to those who celebrate that. And we'll talk to you all again soon. Thank you very much for your time today.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good week. See ya.
Bye.